WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly,
the longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio.
And he's obviously Michael Cole.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Talking wrestling.
Yeah.
Because that's what this show's about. That's what we've been doing for over 16 years.
No. It's about sports entertainment.
And now here are your hosts of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon and Lucas DeSangro.
Will you stop marking out over there?
Sorry.
Move over, kid. I'm taking your microphone.
You're shallow, you know that?
I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. I don't remember what the hell I do anymore.
Shut up!
There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon here with you, flying solo. That's right. Lucas having some vehicular issues. We'll leave it at that. Not quite Mark Merrow's car trouble that was involved with Diamond Dallas Page and Max Muscle back in '95, but having some vehicular issues that are precluding him from being here physically, and I'm checking with him to see if maybe he can chime in over the phones over the course of the hour here. Well, the big story has been, it was that way last week, and it's continuing here this week. Yes, the whole crown jewel Saudi Arabia insanity that has been plaguing WWE, and what are they going to do? What should they do with all of the additional real-life stuff that's continuing to develop as far as that missing Saudi journalist, Jamal Khashoggi. So I say this, I said it last week, I'll say it again here, that it's a very delicate situation, but the scrutiny and criticism that has gone WWE's way has been multifold. It hasn't just been the fan backlash. It hasn't just been politicians. Now there's a whole other aspect to it, as earlier this week, WWE's relationship with Saudi Arabia and everything going on with that, it was, we'll say, skewered, for lack of a better term, in a segment on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver this past Sunday. Now, the HBO show, it focused on the way that the company gushed over Saudi Arabia and the royal family, and even aired a propaganda video during the Greatest Royal Rumble event. And, here's the, I'm not going to give you the whole show here because that requires way too much bleeping, and a lot of it is about that whole issue that has nothing to do with wrestling necessarily, but here's where WWE was mentioned in that clip.
But MBS's PR push isn't just toward attracting businesses, it's also toward changing the world's perception of Saudi Arabia. To that end, he struck a 10-year deal with one of the most popular and most American franchises there is, World Wrestling Entertainment, or WWE. They held their first of many events there back in April, and audiences around the world were treated to wall-to-wall propaganda about the new Saudi Arabia, including a video showing women happily driving, men dancing, and tourist destination beauty shots, as well as constant excited compliments throughout the broadcast.
For the first time, WWE bringing an event of this magnitude to Saudi Arabia. This vibrant, progressive city, our host tonight. It's all part, of course, of the Saudi Vision 2030.
King Abdullah Sports City Stadium just got on its feet.
That area has been reserved for the Saudi royal family, the House of Saud.
I want to send a genuine thank you to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Wow. It seems that WWE is as overtly pro-Saudi Arabia as it is latently homoerotic, which is to say, intensely. But the truth is, MBS is far from the political reformer that he's been presented as. In fact, scratch any positive story about him, and you will find a much grimmer truth underneath. For instance, while the country did get headlines for ending its ban on women driving, just weeks before, authorities arrested about a dozen female activists who'd campaigned for the right to drive.
So, yeah, you kind of get the idea of, one, the humor of John Oliver, and two, how they kind of have looked at things negatively for WWE. Now, perhaps because of this scrutiny, the WWE website advertising the Crown Jewel event, they no longer include any mention of Saudi Arabia as the host country. They just say Crown Jewel November 2nd, but they don't say where it's going to be. Now, perhaps the thinking at the time was that if WWE didn't mention that it was in Saudi Arabia, that fans in the media would forget that it was still scheduled to be in Saudi Arabia. No, it doesn't quite work that way. Well, not everybody is necessarily anti-road trip here in this case. In fact, one person, TMZ, they actually caught up with Randy Orton and asked him, they first asked him a little bit of UFC and boxing questions and then kind of transitioned over to the Crown Jewel event, and here's what he had to say about that.
How you doing, Randy? Man, the boxer Canelo Alvarez just signed a $365 million deal.
Wow, good for him. That's
for
awesome.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Cool.
Is it a good move for him?
Man, I don't even follow boxing.
But 365, highest paid athlete now?
Is 365 million a good move?
Yeah.
Sounds like a good career decision, bro.
Okay.
Yeah. Good for him.
And I know you've fought in the WWE for a long time now. Like, with everything that's going on, I know they're supposed to fight in Saudi Arabia coming up.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I think we should go. I think the only way to help with change over there is to go and not to cancel the trip. Our girls performed in Abu Dhabi not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be there eventually with Saudi in the Crown Jewel. You know, that's the goal, is to make things better everywhere. And I think us not going, it doesn't help. Going helps.
But do you feel at some point the girls will be able to fight over in Saudi Arabia?
100%.
So there you go. So a little bit of a different take, a different spin on how things are looking, kind of more to the, if we're going to look at things from a progressive standpoint, and it's been pretty well documented how the treatment of women is over in Saudi Arabia and how it's a little bit behind where we are here in America. So I'm wondering how much of that is bridging the gap. There's a few different questions to be answered regarding that here. So I don't know. I guess time will tell as far as how that may go. But yeah, this is definitely the story and then some that has developed over the course of the last couple of weeks here. Now, should WWE decide to hold off here, Deadline.com reporting that WWE stands to lose somewhere between $2 to $3 million in cash flow this quarter. Yeah, I know. So when I start mentioning quarters in this regard, it's like, oh, here we go. It's more financial stock market thingies, for lack of a better term. But yeah, we're talking buco bucks here. Not quite the Mega Millions jackpot buku bucks, but pretty doggone close here. But yes, $12 to $16 million in operating income for 2019, and that's if they decide to either hold or cancel the deal with Saudi Arabia to run live events there. Now, the direct quote from the article says, quote, "Were the company to go beyond the Crown Jewel event and walk away from its 10-year multi-platform partnership, the hit to 2019 operating income would range from $12 million to $16 million, according to a Wall Street analyst. He called that, quote, not an inconsequential number, but far less impactful than WWE's new TV contracts with networks including Fox, end quote. So basically, WWE is making a good amount of money on this, and they do not want to lose that money. And I understand it to some point, but when you're dealing with the allegations and concerns that are listed here, it's a scary situation. So, and it's hard to say how things could go if things go awry necessarily. I mean, there's certainly a lot of I guess gray area as far as what is acceptable, what is tolerable, what will be allowable for all parties to save face. There's Vince McMahon's in a difficult position, but he knows that he can't come out of this saying,
"It's all about the money. It's all about the money."
Because as much as that's the bottom line, that will also hurt in the long run as far as overall fan viewership. I mean, viewership has already been questionably low in terms of TV, but as far as the image that WWE is looking to present, that they're willing to make this deal with a government that has these allegations against them at this time, it doesn't look good for them, is pretty much the issue that goes on here. Now, again, not everybody feels that way, though. I think the wrestlers are, for better or worse, taking the opposite stance. Now, I don't know if it's because they have a financial stake or interest in this, or if they perhaps genuinely feel that way. Now, somebody who is known for always having financial interests, but in this case, not anything directly to my knowledge with this situation with WWE, Hall of Famer Kevin Nash took to Twitter on Wednesday, and he seems to side with Randy Orton on going with the Crown Jewel event as scheduled, as Nash had tweeted, quote, 9/11 was conducted by 15 of the 19 attackers who were Saudis. Our response was to attack Afghanistan and Iraq. Now a hit squad is responsible for the death of a Saudi journalist. Should we hit Yemen and Iran? We'll never know the truth. Let's push Saudi Arabia to progress. End quote. So that was a tweet from Kevin Nash, obviously looking for WWE to go there and kind of almost be steadfast against the trend that everybody's saying here. And I guess, how do they do that without looking insanely greedy? Because, I mean, it's pretty much been an open secret that there's a lot of money to be made with this. And, I mean, to the point, I think I alluded to it last week, where fans have been making meme pictures online that have basically revamped the name of Crown Jewel, where they're calling it WWE Blood Money, taking the blood from the Bad Blood logo from back in the day and the money from Money in the Bank and putting the two together to make WWE Blood Money, which, it's harsh. I have to admit, it is kind of funny, and as wrong as it is to say, I mean, it is clever, I'll put it that way. I got a chuckle out of it, but that being said, this is a very real and very scary situation. So I'm kind of curious as to what your collective takes are out there, and you can certainly chime in at 215-949-3232 or toll free at 888-922-2149 as to what do you think WWE should do, and perhaps what do you think they're going to do? I think if nothing else, they should kind of, at least for what's best for business, as they always talk about that, it's about what's best for business, would be to kind of take a pause while all of this is being investigated and gone over, and, well, as they said in their statement last week, continue to monitor the situation and just not take any action, as opposed to just kind of turning a blind eye to everything going on and saying, yeah, we're still going to go in here and we're going to say how great the Saudi government is. And meanwhile, there are these allegations of these hitmen and murders and dismembering and all this other not so nice stuff, to say the least. So, I don't know. There's so much more to get into it here, and we'll delve into it more on the other side. Meanwhile, kind of in the background of all of this is the development of a pay-per-view that's almost reluctant in terms of WWE's part because of the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. The groundbreaking, but as I said, reluctant, Evolution pay-per-view coming up 1 week from tomorrow. The all-women's pay-per-view, because the women wouldn't be allowed on the trip out to Saudi Arabia to wrestle. And I believe, as reports were said previously, that even if they were to be in the audience, that they would require a male chaperone. So that, a little off-putting, so they're more than likely not going to make the trip, but that also means that they're going to miss out on the rather buku bucks in payday, so that's why they have this separate pay-per-view, at least in theory. I'm sure that there's maybe that 2 to 5% where WWE legitimately feels this is a new groundbreaking thing, but a lot of it just is a thinly veiled make-good for the fact that they're being shut out of not one but two big payday pay-per-views that are being held overseas in Saudi Arabia. Anyway, we're going to take our first time out here and come back and get into more with that and some other news as well, including a WWE superstar who went under the knife in a very dubious fashion. Also, a noted WCW tag team wrestler who passed away this week, and some new signings at the Performance Center down in WWE, including some familiar faces. Yeah, I'll let you know who those are. Also, Impact Wrestling finally responding to the time slot change that they'll be having starting this Thursday, and an ownership group of an NFL team that might be starting up a venture in professional wrestling. The shoe on the other foot here. All that and more, but first I want to let you know that the place to get action figures, replica title belts, sports memorabilia, banners, and more is at George's Cards and Collectibles. And George's has 2 locations for all of your cards and collectibles needs, including their original store at 7755 New Falls Road in Levittown, and in the Neshaminy Mall in the movie theater wing, where currently going on is the Neshaminy Mall Sports Cards and Collectibles show that's going on all weekend. Last night, in fact, George's was hosting good old Super Bowl champ, Halapuli Vadivaitai, easy for me to say. Yes, as the offensive lineman was there last evening, and I'm sure there's some more good stuff and collectibles to get on, which, especially given that championship year from last year, is a good time to get in. And also take a look at some of the title belts and other signed memorabilia. And know that they've got, for example, a signed 2x4 from Hacksaw Jim Duggan, or at least they did. Maybe they sold that since last I'd checked. They had some stuff from Deborah. I mean, there's some interesting and fun collectibles that are in all sports, not just necessarily wrestling. So for more information, go to georgescollectibles.com and follow George's Cards and Collectibles on Facebook. Coming back with a whole bunch more stuff. Fearon Derry flying solo here today on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Do you love food? Do you love shellfish? Then you'll love Chicky and Pete's. The best mussels you'll ever have, guaranteed. An assortment of the freshest crabs, seasoned the Chicky and Pete's way. And things you can't get anywhere else. Lobster pizza, crab nachos, and our famous lobster cheesesteak. We have a huge selection of draft beer and the best selection of craft beer. For your next night out, visit Chicky and Pete's. And remember, it's a lot more fun to eat in a bar than drink in a restaurant.
The stigma of addiction is destroying lives across the country, preventing our loved ones from getting the help they need. We are Shatterproof, a national nonprofit dedicated to ending the stigma and devastation addiction causes families. We are changing laws, creating a community of support, and providing evidence-based resources for prevention, treatment, and recovery. Stigma shatters lives. Rise up against addiction now so another life isn't lost. Get involved at shatterproof.org/riseup.
All commentators heard on WBCB express their own views. Their opinions are not necessarily those of others on WBCB, including the staff and management.
Take charge of your health with Independence Blue Cross and get access to Achieve Wellbeing, free online tools that make being healthier easier. Manage your health with personalized well-being programs and connect your favorite fitness apps and devices. Plus, you get access to the most doctors and hospitals in the region, from the leader in healthcare for nearly 80 years. Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IPX.com.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
See, he's got the Luigi death stare from Fearon, so he might have...
I didn't give you the Luigi death stare. That's not true.
Ricky gave him.
breaking cape. I'm going to break something else during this commercial.
There we go. That's what I like to see.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your hosts, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Are we getting into that controversy again?
I know how it feels, and it's not fun.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, flying solo. Lucas is dealing with some vehicular issues. That's the best way that I can put it. We'll hopefully hear from him a little bit later. I did reach out to him to see if he wanted to at least chime in over the phone. We'll see if he is available to here in the hour. So, yeah, the ongoing and top story has to do with Crown Jewel and Saudi Arabia and all the other controversial stuff that is going on with it. And also, I see there was a note here on the Pro Wrestling Weekly Facebook fan page asking about the Listen Live button. I believe that there have been some issues, from what I was told, that are still being worked out as far as some recent changes to FCC regulations. So I'm not sure. I think we're waiting pending clarification and confirmation on that as to whether we can continue to stream over the internet, as far as certain regulations and policies that I'll admit are a little beyond my knowledge and comprehension, and I'll leave that to the powers that be here at WBCB and further up the chain here. So that is what is currently going on, and I do apologize for that, those who are used to tuning in over the web, as apparently there is a challenge with that at the immediate moment. So that also looks to be an issue here. So, yeah, appreciate your patience with that, and thank you for tuning in here over the airwaves. So, more on the story here. So, earlier this week, WWE had announced that tickets would go on sale for the Saudi Arabia event, and it was supposed to take place yesterday, but that on-sale date has now been postponed again. And rather curiously, WWE.com lists the on-sale ticket date for Crown Jewel as November 2nd, which is the date of the show. So I guess they're just trying to kick that can as far down the road as they can before having to deal with it here. Now, one other take that was brought out as far as any kind of soundbite in terms of what should be going on with the Crown Jewel event, well, another Hall of Fame, another upper individual has certainly been around quite a bit, and I was going to say I'm drawing a blank, as I thought he was in the Hall of Fame, but now I'm not so sure here, as my memory's a little lacking at the moment here. But JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield. That's right. I know he inducted somebody into the Hall of Fame. That's where I think I was getting it confused there. But I'm pretty sure that he should be making his way there at some point on his own here. Time will certainly tell with that. Yeah, it's one of those kind of long overdue things. I mean, given all the titles that he's had here, I mean, Grand Slam champion, Triple Crown champion. But that notwithstanding, so he also has dabbled with some business, to say the least, and he was on the Fox Business Network, and well, he was asked about the Crown Jewel event, and here's what he had to say about it.
WWE wrestling people, they're getting ready to hold another big event in Saudi Arabia, and this is a big one coming up next month, November 2nd. Many of the stars have told Sports Illustrated that they feel uneasy about it following the disappearance of the columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Right, John is with us. He's a former WWE wrestling champion. I mean, you wouldn't know it now, but there, a champ. Here you go. It's going to take place, though, isn't it?
From what I understand, yes. The idea is that the WWE is going to go there. Right now, the official line is that they're monitoring the situation. My personal opinion is that they should go. I think the only way you promote change, look at what we did with Cuba. You isolate a country, all you do is impoverish that country. You want to promote change. WWE went to Abu Dhabi. They had the first women's match that had ever happened in the Middle East. The crowd was chanting in English, "This is change." And for these senators to come out and bash the WWE on this, I've spent 7 Christmases in Iraq and Afghanistan with the WWE. I was with the WWE, the first group to go down and visit the Twin Towers while they were still burning and bodies were pulling out. We were the first group on 9/13 to have a mass gathering right after 9/11. People didn't know what was going to happen. For these guys to hide behind their patriotism and their show flag waving, to me, I think is to try to improve their abysmal approval ratings, to me is wrong. WWE has been at the forefront of change, and you want to change Saudi Arabia, you send something like WWE there.
I'm glad he was on the show.
Yeah.
All right, Layfield, thank you very much indeed.
So, yeah, a little bit of a patriotic twist here. And I see also on the fan page a question being asked, what does a reporter being killed in Turkey have to do with a WWE event? People are killed in America every day, and they still have events in those cities, such as Chicago. Well, the issue in this case is the allegation that this prominent journalist was essentially killed by the government that WWE is promoting as being great and good and everything of that nature, and basically building all this positive propaganda for. So because of these allegations, a lot of people are saying, well, maybe you shouldn't go and promote these people necessarily yet. You know, maybe you should kind of hold off on saying, hey, these are great guys, when there's essentially a murder investigation that allegedly was ordered by them going on. It's not like you're seeing, it's not like you're seeing murder orders from President Trump that are going on that affect a particular city here in the United States. So that's where the difference comes into play here is the fact that there's allegations of governmental involvement in planned murder. And this is the same government that is playing nicey nice with WWE. That's where the difference comes in. So, I mean, unless you know of some sort of ordered hit by President Trump that might affect the Survivor Series pay-per-view, I mean, that's where the difference is coming into play. Anyway, that being thrown out of the way here, let's go to the phones where we have none other than Lucas. Hello.
Hello. Nothing like talking about politics and wrestling.
Yeah, not the backstage kind either.
Yeah. That's what threw me off. I was like, oh, this is what I tune into. Awesome.
I know it feels it feels like almost the type of discussion that you'd have Monday to Friday during this time slot.
Or if you look on Facebook and you see a lot of posts from a certain caged individual from the Monster Factory.
Yeah, we're not going to get into those savvy posts here. That's probably for the better. I'm trying to walk a very fine tightrope here, and the wind is almost blowing me off here. So good to have you on here. Yes, the wind. Yeah, no, the OSW reference.
The wind. Yeah.
So I don't know. Should I ask you your take on all this, or should I just go to next question, next topic, things of that nature?
No, ask me my take on this because it is a bit of a slippery slope because I understand the human rights aspect of this, but then I also understand the Vince McMahon, it's all about the money.
Yep, I already busted out that clip earlier.
Oh.
You knew that drop was coming.
Yeah. I actually sort of agree with JBL to an extent. We are at the forefront. WWE does a lot to try and be on the forefront of change, but at the same time, he failed to acknowledge that the women that had that first match, that was Abu Dhabi. That wasn't Saudi Arabia. The women are staying home for this one.
Essentially by force.
Yeah. I mean, they get their own little pay-per-view, but they're really pushing the crown jewel thing when the all-women's pay-per-view is, like, this Sunday.
Well, yeah, it's a week from tomorrow.
Yeah. Sorry, not, yeah.
Yeah, so we're 8 days away from Evolution, and it's been all crown jewel, crown jewel, crown jewel.
Yeah.
So how groundbreaking is it if it's an, oh, by the way, there's this all-women's pay-per-view coming up?
Which, first of all, and this isn't meant to fault WWE, because the fact that they're doing an all-women's pay-per-view in itself is historical, and it's, I was saying this to one of my friends who doesn't really watch wrestling, isn't that fond of wrestling, and I said, but I was explaining why this is a big deal for not just wrestling fans, but just at all. When you think of women's wrestling, most people don't think of, they don't think of Mae Young. They don't think of Sensational Sherry. They think of Sable. They think of the women with oiled up, degrading themselves, which, not to say that I didn't find that enjoyable at one point, but that was 5 years ago, before I knew better. I'm disclaiming the
Yeah, absolutely. No, I see what you mean with that, though.
I'm trying to be honest, but also not, this is a big deal, and I want all women wrestling to succeed. I messed that up. I want all wrestling to succeed, including the women, because I know a lot of women that are extremely talented, that can wrestle, that can do as well, if not better, than some of the men. So this is a big deal, and I want it to succeed, because if that's the case, and this could be a thing that happens every year, and this could be something that women wrestlers who are breaking into the business can work towards.
And it can break down doors and opportunities, and that can come from it. Yeah, shatter glass ceilings and all kinds of things of that nature. No, most certainly. One other thing on this before we move on here. Now, I don't know if you had caught it before you had phoned in here, but JBL not only having that sentiment, but also Kevin Nash and Randy Orton as well feel like the show should go on as scheduled.
Yeah. This is because WWE, at the end of the day, is a business. It is a business. Unfortunately, businesses are going to do stuff that you may not always agree with. Their fans of WWE have been like, we've known that forever. But that's not the point. There's a lot of money in this.
A lot of money. That I think is the difference here with this specific thing.
Unfortunately, it's a bittersweet circumstance, because if it wasn't for Crown Jewel, Shawn Michaels wouldn't be coming back to in-ring competition.
And I'm still, I don't know. I'm still of the, I'm still of the belief. I understand, it's not the money being offered to me, and I'm sure that if there were that many zeros in front of a number being offered to me, that I would probably do something that's against my, I guess, standard of ethics and living and things of that nature.
Can I just say that even though he is coming out of retirement, the fact that he stayed retired this long is it's how long has it been now? Since 8 years, I think.
8.5 years, yeah.
So Ric Flair didn't even give it an entire year, I don't think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Michaels even said he's been offered a lot of money before,
but not this kind of money.
Yeah, he said before, there have been so many offers that have been on the table that he's flat out turned down because of that exact reason. This is just one of those things, and, it is bittersweet, because I want to see Shawn Michaels and appreciate the fact that it's Shawn Michaels. When I was watching Shawn Michaels in 2010, I never, I knew he was good, but I never got to appreciate how good he really was. It's
hard to look back on that and kind of watch after the fact, as opposed to somebody like me who was watching it as it happened.
Yeah, it really isn't. For example, so I went and saw the new Halloween movie yesterday in the theater. It was a thing that I never got to do ever as a kid. Mostly because when the last Halloween movie came out that was not Rob Zombie, I was maybe 3 years old maybe, so I wouldn't have remembered it. I got to see a good Halloween movie in the theater and appreciate it as it was happening. Whereas it was just something I never felt before, as opposed to going back and watching them on demand, and you don't feel the same way as you do when it's like happening as it's happening. You're a part of something that everyone gets to experience as it's happening.
Most certainly. Now, strangely enough with this here, even The Rock is connected with this sticky Saudi situation. Oh, there's a tongue twister. So, yeah, the former head of John McCain's presidential campaign, who also worked for the Bush administration, he said on MSNBC earlier that Dwayne The Rock Johnson should disavow his high-profile relationship with Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Yeah, apparently there was a bizarre Instagram post that The Rock had put up back earlier this year when he had attended a private dinner with the Crown Prince, as well as with media mogul Rupert Murdoch, Disney CEO Bob Iger, Morgan Freeman, James Cameron, and a couple of others. And it was a very gushing post, and now there seems to be a lot of revisionist history that people want to make going on with this here. I don't know. I think that might be kind of swinging the pendulum a little too far. It's like, all right, now everybody's going to blacklist them. Let's pump the brakes here. Let the investigation go first.
Yeah, it's like you went to Jeddah one time in 2005. You're not my friend anymore.
Yes, exactly.
Like Joe Rogan, now, don't get me wrong. The reporter thing is a serious issue. It's a human rights issue. It really sheds light on how highlight or how how sheltered things are over there. How much you can't say without this happening.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So to bring things into a bit more of a peaceful light, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're actually going to go to, I don't know if you heard about this or not, the Iron Sheik.
Yes.
Oh, okay, you did hear about it.
I'm not saying I heard about it. I'm saying, like, yes, as in I approve.
You approve. Yeah, when Sheiky Baby is a peacemaker, you know that the world has gone topsy-turvy, but he had done that, as there was a 4-day-long beef between Limp Bizkit and the Insane Clown Posse that's now over thanks to Sheiky Baby.
Thing that she could solve.
Now, I was going to say, did you hear about this at all?
I heard that Shaggy 2 Dope tried to throw a drop kick and failed.
Yes, that was at a Limp Bizkit concert, and Insane Clown Posse was there, and Shaggy 2 Dope of Insane Clown Posse had attempted a drop kick to the back of Fred Durst, who didn't know what was going on, and apparently that led to some beef between the two, and it was actually Sheik who kind of was an intermediary just by tweeting out. This was about a week and a half ago. The Shaggy 2 Dope, you are a good man, but your drop kick is is some sort of drizzling, not so good thing. No. Even worse than the Brian Blair. Also, DJ Lethal is my brother. I don't like to see my brothers fight, Bubba. So DJ Lethal took a screenshot of that and then responded on Instagram, ha ha ha, thank you, Mr. Iron Sheik, for making a funny situation even funnier. Hashtag truce. We don't need any more violence in these times. There are bigger issues in the world. Peace and love.
Especially when it becomes a beef between two. Like when you think of rapping beef, that's not what you want to hear. You don't want to hear Durst and Shaggy 2 Dope. And then you don't want to hear about them beefing either.
No, absolutely. All right, do you want to hang on through the break here? Because I'm a little on the late side for it. Time just flying by when we're having fun here, or at least trying to make things a little bit more fun.
Making it work.
All righty, so you know what time it is. Today is the day to get hoppy at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. Yes, today is Hoppy Halloween 4. The only beer fest that celebrates local first with some of the best libations available in the surrounding areas, along with one of their favorite holidays, Halloween. Did you get your tickets? Well, they're sold out online, but you can still get them at the door. The event goes from 2 until 6 o'clock today, rain or shine. And there will be roughly 30 breweries and libationaries that will be participating, and you'll be able to receive some of their wares, along with a a sampler glass. It's a full pint glass with a sampler line, so that way you can taste some of the great beers from not only the Broken Goblet, but Neshaminy Creek, Naked, Crooked Eye, Conshohocken, Yards, Manayunk, Second Sin, Locust Lane, Doylestown, Wissahickon, Weyerbacher, and a whole bunch more.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's 30. I think I just named maybe about a dozen of them. So
You
that's...
named 98 NWO amount of breweries in the area.
Well, no, I didn't go that deep. I mean, I don't know which one would be the Vincent of the... Well, no, never mind. We don't want to say anything disparaging.
Don't.
Yeah, we're not going there. Also, when the Birds win, you win. As for the next 2 business days following an Eagles victory, you get $3 off of a Crowler Takeout 3-pack. So head on in tomorrow. They are open tomorrow as well as after the festival today from 7 to midnight tonight and from noon to 5 tomorrow. And tomorrow it'll be Birds, Bloodies, and Brews with the Birds-Panthers game going on at 1 o'clock. And there's a whole bunch more that, time permitting, we'll get into another time. As, we're close up against it here. So just a few reasons why it's always a good time at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. Broken Goblet Brewing, the semi-official brewery of Pro Wrestling Weekly. Please enjoy responsibly. So Luca's joining me here on the phones, and it is appreciated, reunited, and it feels so good. We'll be back with more here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Schedule a retirement planning strategy session with TFG Wealth Management. Mark Freed previews his technology others don't have access to and methods other professionals don't consider. Mark's maximum planning process takes you to and through a successful retirement. Call 866-296-8156. Mark Freed at TFG Wealth Management. That's 866-296-8156.
Investment advisory services are offered by TFG Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Pennsylvania. Insurance products and services are offered through the Freed Group. TFG Wealth Management, LLC, and the Freed Group are affiliated companies.
At St. Mary Medical Center, they're on a mission to help you live your healthiest life. Learn more about their advanced technology and innovative procedures, as well as the small steps you can take to be your healthiest self. Meet their highly trained physicians and skilled professionals. Count on St. Mary for experience, brilliant technology, and the most powerful medicine of all, simple human kindness. St. Mary Healthline every Wednesday at 9 a.m. on 1490 WBCB.
Chickies and Pete's, your favorite local sports bar with the best in-game experience. Catch all the action and the players at Chickies and Pete's all season long. Live football shows all season, featuring the Brandon Graham Show every Monday. Plus, the Chickie and Pete's Players Lounge with many more special guests. Enjoy daily drink specials, signature menu items, and our world-famous crab fries. Chickies and Pete's is a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles and the official caterer of the Touchdown Club at Lincoln Financial Field. Head to chickiesandpete's.com for the full schedule.
Hi, this is Brody McAndrew of the Neshaminy Redskins. Watch our games video streamed live at WBCBsports.com and brought to you by St. Mary's Medical Center and McCaffrey Ford.
Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, October 20th. On this date in 1996, the WWF held the 11th In Your House pay-per-view, titled Buried Alive. In the main event, The Undertaker defeated Mankind in a Buried Alive match. On this date, 1997, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Biloxi, Mississippi. In the main event, Scott Hall pinned Scott Steiner. On this date, 2002, WWE held its No Mercy pay-per-view. In the main event, Brock Lesnar pinned The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match to retain the WWE Championship. On this date in 2013, TNA held its Bound for Glory pay-per-view. In the main event, AJ Styles pinned Bully Ray to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This has been Today in Wrestling History, October 20th.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you alongside Lucas via telephone.
Yes, I bring it via satellite.
Yes, you do. Hey, it's better than part-time.
Yeah.
So the effort is there.
I'm making sure I get those benefits for on 90 days. It's going to kick in.
Yeah, I'm not going to go any further with that. Probably safer that way. So, other news and things that are not Saudi-related, for a rare change. So, Kevin Owens had an interesting way of talking about his double knee surgery that he had. He posted a photo on social media on Wednesday of both of his knees heavily bandaged and wrote, quote, "They had a 2-for-1 sale going at the surgery store." Oh, that Kevin.
It's going to stink not having either him or Sami Zayn on TV for for an undisclosed amount of time or indefinite. I have no clue.
Yeah, they didn't give any timetable for Owens' return. At least WWE didn't. In some sad news, Dick Slater, or Richard Van Slater, he died on Thursday at age 67, cause of death unknown at this time. He had wrestled for Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, Mid-South Wrestling Organization, briefly with the WWF, and then over to All Japan Pro Wrestling in the 80s, but is widely known for his time in WCW from 1989 to 1996. Usually managed by Colonel Robert Parker as part of the Stud Stable. Yes, Dirty Dick Slater.
Bunkhouse Buck.
Yeah, along with Bunkhouse Buck, exactly. Usually vying for the tag titles. 2 broken vertebrae, ended his in-ring career in '96, and there were some unfortunate events that put him back in the news in 2004. But fell just shy of winning those tag titles in WCW, usually teaming with Bunkhouse Buck, trying to get a hold of those. So, Dick Slater passing at the age of 67. On a brighter note here, and this is something I know you're going to be gushing about as well as I am here, WWE announcing the signing of 7 wrestlers to the Performance Center on Thursday, including a few familiar faces. Mia Yim, who worked as Jade in Impact Wrestling, also from Impact, Chelsea Green. She worked as Laurel Van Ness over there. Humberto Carrillo, he is the nephew of the late Hector Garza.
Sorry. Green was also on Tough Enough.
What was that?
Chelsea Green was also on Tough Enough.
She was also on Tough Enough. Very good. Australian pro wrestler and rugby player Daniel Vidot. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not sure, though. 7'3", 370-pound Nigerian basketball player Jordan Omagbane. He played for University of South Florida as well as Morgan State University in Baltimore. And, a couple of Monster Factory guys in the King of Bros, Matt Riddle, and former Ring of Honor television champion Luis Punishment Martinez.
I can't tell you. Well, we already knew that Riddle was going to be we already knew Riddle was signed to a contract. He showed up ringside at NXT Brooklyn 3, Brooklyn 4. But Punishment is just for those for the people that know Punishment and how hard he's worked to get this. A lot of people always say that nothing is ever deserved in this business, but I think we can make an exception for Luis because.
Well, effort is the key to success. That's probably the best way to kind of put that here. And the effort that he has shown over the course of the last, 3 or 4 years, it has been remarkable. From where he was to where he is now, it's certainly just, I'm gobsmacked, but in a good way. Also, Impact Wrestling finally acknowledging the change in time slot here, as they posted a note on ImpactWrestling.com announcing that new slot, saying, Impact has a new time. Next Thursday, you'll have to remember to change your DVR settings because Impact is moving to 10 p.m. Eastern each and every week on Pop. You'll still get the same great action, the same great passion, the same amazing 2 hours of Impact each and every week, but it will just get started a little later. Don't miss anything. Set your DVR now and start thinking about changing your viewing habits for next week. Impact at a brand new time of 10 p.m. Eastern each and every Thursday night. Now, hilariously, Josh Matthews and Don Callis promoted the move by labeling it Impact After Dark. Yeah, they're trying to make it positive as much as they can.
Yeah.
And finally, this is a bit interesting here. Access TV could be home to the biggest pro wrestling startup venture in a generation with big names and big money behind it. Chris Jericho, Jim Ross, and the All-In group of wrestlers, Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and Adam Page, are on board with a venture funded by the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars NFL team. Ryan from Northeast Philly must be loving that. Shahid Khan, according to a report Shahid Khan is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is all according to a report by Brad Davis of SEScoops.com. Also, Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net making prior hints on a recent .net Weekly members-only podcast that, quote, a number of pro wrestling personalities had suddenly developed an interest in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Powell reports that Shahid Khan's son, Tony Khan, is a longtime wrestling fan who is initiating discussions and moving this possible venture forward with communications with those top names mentioned.
Wow.
So, that could be an interesting startup that, you're right, we haven't seen in probably, not since TNA came to the fold in 2002, or Ring of Honor, for that matter, around the same time.
Just think you can now get Jacksonville Jaguars merch off of Pro Wrestling Tees.
Again, Ryan from Northeast Philly must be loving that.
Yeah.
Well, he is a Jaguars fan. It's
Yeah.
You're just going to at it. Okay.
I love you, Ryan, but wow, really? Okay.
We'll have this discussion more off air, but his sports fandom is very eclectic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Giants in baseball and Jaguars in football and Raptors in basketball and.
They're doing hop in basketball?
Huh? The Toronto Raptors.
Oh, I can. Well, I mean, back in the early 2000s, maybe. Yeah, sure. Great.
Yeah, back in the Vince Carter days, but that's basketball stuff. We're rapidly closing in on the end here, and I want to thank you for joining me here. I just mentioned that you had car trouble, and I didn't compare it to the car trouble that Johnny B. Bad had in dealing with Diamond Dallas Page and Max Muscle.
Oof. That would have been terrible.
Yeah. I didn't say 4 flat tires. I said a flat tire. Punch. Remember that? No?
No, I remember it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I remember.
That was some fun stuff back when they were feuding pretty much every pay-per-view in late 95 and early 96. Anyway, we are at that point where it is time for...
Birthday!
Feels good to say that again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we've got 4 plus to kind of flip the script from last week, because last week we had a lot of Brucey bonuses. Just 1 Brucey bonus today. Just to shake it up a little. So on this date in 1958, Scott Oliver Hall was born. The WWE Hall of Fame wrestler known by both his real name and his character Razor Ramon, and also known as one of the founders of the New World Order, the NWO faction. Yes, Scott Hall turns 60 today. Oh, be still my beating heart. Where does the time go?
I don't know.
I was watching Razor Ramon 25 years ago. It's like, oh, wow. All right. Anyway, on this date in 1970, Salvador Guerrero IV was born. The current Lucha Underground wrestler, 2-time TNA Tag Team Champion, 2-time WCW Cruiserweight Champion, 4-time WWE Cruiserweight Champion, and 1-time WWECW Champion, better known as Chavo Guerrero Jr., turns 48 today. I don't think he'll be getting a birthday card from Hornswoggle.
Yeah.
Didn't want.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you had any more to. All right. Also on this date in 1970, Yoshihiro Yamazaki was born. The 6-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion from New Japan Pro Wrestling, better known as Tiger Mask 4, also turns 48 today.
Ooh.
And on this date in 1971, Calvin Cortazar Brodus Jr. was born. The WWE Hall of Fame celebrity who hosted Monday Night Raw in 2009 and was the MC for the women's tag team match at WrestleMania 24 the year prior. And, he's also a rapper and a pretty good one, as well as a game show host in recent years. Better known as Snoop Dogg, turns 47 today.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of that, the Joker's Wild that he hosts?
I have. It's quite entertaining.
It is. I'm sure Jack Barry would be turning over in his grave, but not everything can be traditional. And frankly, he's still. I think he was still reeling from the quiz show scandals of the 50s. Anyway, on this date in 1937, going to the Brucey bonuses, Juan Antonio Marichal Sanchez was born. The Hall of Fame Major League Baseball pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, better known simply as Juan Marichal, he turns the big 81 today.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Happy birthday all around. Lucas, thank you so much for joining in here, and hopefully the vehicular issues will have manifested themselves, and we'll be able to get you back in studio next week. But until then, play us out, Nutsy.
1 o'clock and all's well.
Celebrating 60 years of broadcasting excellence, we're 1490 WBCB. 11